Hi, this is Lady Lex UK and this is a Dreams gadget tutorial. Today we're doing the first of the logic and processing gadgets, which turns out to be the Randomizer. Shaped like a dice, or a die if you want to be pedantic. This is a random number generator. It creates a number between 0 and 9, or if you would like, it randomly chooses a port on the gadget to send a signal, which if we look at it here are our ports. So at the top here we have two inputs. We have a slider that we can choose how many ports are going to be active, how many of these we want. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right up to 10 ports. Then we have the options to randomize. Then we have our outputs, and at the bottom it's whichever port is currently active, and that's going to send out a number between 0 and 9. So the best way to demonstrate this is over here. I've put a randomizer up and I've linked it to various things so that we can see the thing in action. So first thing, I've linked up a remote controlled sensor cross button to the randomize button. This input here needs a pulse. Every time it receives a pulse, it's going to choose a random one of these, A, B or C. So every time I press X, it's going to choose one of these. We haven't chosen an input to randomize, so if I choose one of these, the output that it's going to send to these number displayers is going to be a number 1. So they'll show 0 unless they are randomly chosen, and then they'll send a 1. So let's just try that out. So we've got a red, a blue and a green number displayer, and every time I press X, it's going to choose a random one of those 3 ports. It's chosen B, so the blue one has got a 1 on it. C, the green one's got a 1. B, A. As you can see, so it's every time I press the X button, it's randomly choosing one of these ports. Now, if I link up the active port to our number display at the bottom, it's going to tell us which port is currently active. That's the number it's going to send out here. Now at the moment it's sending out a 1. Now you might think, well, hang on, that's not right, it's a B, that should be 2. It's 1, 2, 3, except it isn't. A is actually 0. It goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 10 sockets, but it doesn't go from 1 to 10, it goes from 0 to 9. So that's something to bear in mind, especially if you're trying to pick a random number between 1 and 10. You're going to have to add 1 to that number, otherwise you're going to get a number between 0 and 9 instead. But anyway, so we'll press the X button and we've got 0, which is correct, and then we've got number 2, which is C. So you can see that's working. Let's just change our number of ports. So now that's port 4, port 0, port 3, port 5. There we are. That's how it works. Now let's have a look at this part and this. So input to randomize. At the moment, because we have no input to randomize, it's going to send that 1. So I've got a counter here, and I've set that to be 99. So if I look at the current count and I wire that into the input to randomize, you see now instead of sending the 1, it's sending that 99. So if I press X, there we are, it's sending the 99 to all of these ports. There we go. So that's how you would send a different signal to just the 1 or the 0 from these ports. that's if you want to pass a signal through the randomizer and out to a specific object. So, for example, you could have an input over here that would activate different, which sends the same signal but to different objects. And this is how you would do it. You would wire them to the different objects, like so. But the signal would be the same, but it will just be sending it to different objects depending on which port it's linked to. Now, the other thing too, but the only last thing that we haven't covered on this is the Randomize mode. Now, the Randomize mode is a little, the description is maybe a little confusing. So we'll start off with no repeat. Now, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Right? No repeat does not mean it's going to go through all of these without repeating. So if we try it, A, E, D, B, C, B. So it's done B again. So that we did get a repeat. So that's not what that means. It means it won't repeat the same one consecutively. So you won't get A, B, C, C, D, 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 E, D, C, C. You won't get that. You won't get C, C and B, B. So it will pick a different one. So you'll go A, B, D, C, C. You won't get C, C. You'll get A, B, D. It will pick C. It picks C's again. It picks C. It just moves through different ones. So you get a randomizer in that one. No repeat consecutively. This one, shuffle. This is your no repeat. Now watch this. B, A, F, D, E, C. Now do you remember that? B, A, F, D, E, C, B, A, F, D, E. That could be B, C. I can't remember the sequence myself. There we go. So that's the sequence. So it's randomized all of these ports, and it's going to go through all of those ports one at a time and then go round again. So that might be very useful if you wanted to randomize a selection of objects and you had a set amount of objects and you just wanted to go through them all, do something to them all in a random order, and that's it, done. Then we have true random. This will do A, B, C, C, D, E, 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 D, C, C. It will do that. So let's try it. E, E, D, C, B, D, F, C, D, D, F. So it will randomize and not, it doesn't care about consecutive port choices. So there you go. There's your 3 randomize modes. It's a very useful bit of kit, this. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's only picking integers. It will only give you numbers. It will only choose these ports. You would have to link these up to switches with numbers on or calculators with numbers on if you want different numbers. And I think I showed you with the signal generator can also generate random numbers, but they can do it within a range and with decimal places, which this one can't do on its own. It would need other gadgets in order to do it. However, you're probably looking at it and thinking, well, that's great, but what I want to calculate, I want to pick a random number between 0 and 0 and 50. How do I do that? Well, there are ways and means. I have a randomizer over here. This is one I built. Actually, I better turn it on. This is one I built during the beta. This is a random number generator. You can find that in the Dreamverse. As you can see, it's producing a random number every second between 1 and 100. So let's have a look at it to see what it's doing. So as you can see, I've got a timer. This timer is on a loop. Let me just zoom in a bit. So here's our timer. It's when the timer finishes, it resets itself. So this is on a loop. So every second it's going through and looping. When it loops, it's going to randomize. It's going to randomize this randomizer and this randomizer. This one runs the tens. So the number on the left. So 7, 70, 80, 10. It does that. So sometimes it will be a 0. And sometimes it will be 1. It will be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, etc. So you've got two. You've got one randomizer for the tens and one randomizer for the single digits. I times this one by 10, and then I add those two together, and then I add 1 to it because we want it from 1 to 0 to 1 to 100, not 0 to 99. So I've added 1 to the result, and I've sent that to my number displayer. So that is a random number generator between 1 and 100. So this is how you would do. You have to create the correct amount of ports in order to do it. So if you wanted to do 50, you would have to do 6 ports here. So 0, 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50. Actually, no, you wouldn't. Only need to do up to 40, wouldn't you? It would go. And 0. No, I think you need 5 ports. Okay, so you'd have 5 ports, and then you would know that when it was got to 50, you'd have to do extra things to it, calculate and take numbers away and all sorts of things. It's a little bit of a pain in the backside, to be honest. It'd be much easier if we could set a range in the random number generator, but we can't, so we have to do this nonsense. So here is our random number generator creating 1 to 100. Like I say, this is in the Dreamweaverse if you want to look this one up if you're in need of something that does this. I also use a very similar setup to run a dice roll. So if you wanted a dice roll 1 to 6, you would use a randomizer to do that. So there we go. Random numbers. Now, what would you use these for other than just to create a number? Well, I have used it a few times in various tutorials, creating randomizers and random ports. It's very good for creating AI because then you can have your enemy doing random things. So sometimes he'll walk, sometimes he'll run, sometimes he'll attack you, sometimes he'll turn away, sometimes he'll flee, and you would actively put wires from each of these ports to the microchips that do those different actions, and then you stick a randomizer in and send a pulse, and it would pick one, and then it would do whatever the microchip you set it up to do. So that's a reason why you might use a randomizer. But there are lots of things in gaming that require random numbers, not just AI. Puzzle games need randomizers, and things like Tetris and things like that, they need randomizers. They need to randomize which shapes come down and things like that. So they're used for all sorts of things. So getting used to this randomizer and how that works would be very useful to you, and you'll be surprised how many times that you get to use it. Right, thank you for watching. Hope that was useful, and I'll catch you in your dreams.